Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? We got 3 cards coming out to start our day. We've got our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Two of Wands in its reversal. Welcome to Sagittarius full moon. Welcome to the Sag full moon energy. So we're going to talk a little bit about this right now, because one of the things that we see, and I love, and we're gonna work through this, okay? Because there's positives and there's a lot of positives that we see in connection points between Gemini and Sagittarius energy. We were talking about this heavily in yesterday's reading. So the thing that we see that it's like Gemini, it's like unabashed meets dynamic is the best way I can kind of describe this. And why are we talking about unabashed meets dynamic? Because when we come into the robustness of our full self, it's about the integration point, right? It's the ability to feel that sense of integration that allows for the ability to be holistic in terms of how we approach things. And a lot of the work that I remember I mentioned to you that something about this energy, it either feels expansive, right? It feels like comprehensive. It allows a lot of that ability to kind of be able to extend upon the self, right? It's a lot of that bigger picture energy, if you will, right? So there's something really beautiful about that, because I keep on seeing that for a lot of energy right now experiencing this. And I talked a lot about this in our Mystic Meditation article that I posted over on my Substack. This is the type of energy that allows one to come into a space of compassion and adoration for one's sublime self, right? It's a lot of that ability of, I keep on hearing like the genuineness that we bring to situations or circumstances that allow for a lot of that expansion point. Right? It's like, and I keep on hearing, like, I would not be surprised if there's a lot of those healing conversations that are occurring right now. If there's a lot of that ability to be able to communicate upon something that you felt like you couldn't communicate upon before. Because, one of the things that we've been talking about, and this is what I think is really beautiful for a lot of the energy and healing, is I just keep on seeing that this is a lot of that work in terms of continuing to heal from the illusion of rejection, because it is the conversation that says that when we move into our authenticity, right? If we're doing the work in terms of incorporating the self, if we like who we are and we like what we do, right? Then that ability to articulate upon something feels like an energetic celebration. It feels like that expansion moment. So I feel like there's something very beautiful about this energy, because if you're doing that work on the self in such a way, it allows one to expand upon the possibilities of the self, right? And I feel like what's interesting about it, and we talked a little bit about this the other day, that the healthy manifestation isn't about gimme energy, right? It's also not about departing from the self in the ability to reach for something, right? The path work of manifestation is one that should allow one to see oneself with more clarity, right? So when we're doing that work, and that's why I meant that something about this energy, it's going to affect, different people in different ways, because it's the integration point between moving towards something and feeling like that. I keep on seeing like the fine tuning of something that allows for something to become energetically unified, right? The ability to be seen clearly. At the same time, I also see that there's a lot of energy and separation that is healing from situations or relationships wherein one had to embody unhealthy or untrue perspectives of the self in order to stay within some kind of framework. Because we talked about this. Relationships are where we go. Like, this is the big message is coming through this Gemini season. Relationships are where we go to change, right? Like it's like the change is not, there's no, the change is the one thing that we identify as it relates to relationships. And that's why when we're in healthy relationships, we expand, we expound upon it, right? We change in profound ways. It feels like that energetic expansion point. It feels like that point of flourishing. But when we're in the unhealthy relationships, they feel like they contort us, right? They feel like they distort us. And we start to feel like we lose a sense of ourselves. We start to feel like we can't recognize the self. So this is why I feel like there's something really beautiful that's happening, even for energy in separation. Because if this is energy that has been in separation, they're reorienting because they're starting to be able to see themselves again. They're recognizing themselves, right? Like I can see the energy being like, oh, there you are, right? It's like, it's the like a lot of this full moon energy is the reorienting of energy, either in separation that feels like they're finally coming back to themselves, right? It's like a lot of that, like, what was that? Or simultaneously, we do see that there is energy that is, and I keep on hearing the energy being like, I got away from myself for a minute, right? Like even in the space of like being like, like I keep on seeing like a lot of that, like I keep on seeing like it's like the straightening of the tie of the self, because the energy is like understanding and they're seeing who they are again. Or these are the energies that are entering into union right now. Because I was seeing over the last few days a lot of energy shifting into divine union. But the beauty of these relationships, remember I articulated that these were magician partnerships. These were the relationships wherein we identify that authenticity was the manifestation goal of the energy coming towards each other in partnership, right? The authenticity of the self, which says, and this is why, because what is the hurdle to be tackled as one is moving towards authenticity and partnership, healing from the illusion of rejection, right? Because if we're trying to move towards authenticity, and what does authenticity say? Does authenticity mean perfection? No. Authenticity means, right, this is all coming out of those Taurus lessons that we work through majesty, operating in the sense of one's own personal majesty. And majesty says, if I like who I am, and I know that I'm not perfect, but I identify what I'm working on, right? That is the space that if another person finds us in that space and it's not for them, it's okay. I mean, it hurts, right? Like there's an ow to it, but it's not an oh no, because we can't control how we feel about one another, right? The only thing, right, if you feel about something, for me, if I engender feelings in you, I can't go in there and change them. But the only feeling that I have the ability to control within another, and this is our responsibility to each other, is confusion. Because confusion is where trauma forms, and confusion can always be healed and met with clarity. So that's why I keep on hearing like this is a very clarifying full moon, because it's allowing a lot of energy to see something, like to see the self with more clarity. And that's either the identification point of something that one may aspire or desire to do better, right? Like understanding and recognizing where the work is. And when we're in a healthy, energetic, egoic space, right? Not shedding the ego entirely, but having the ego that is flexible with the self, right? That's the energy. Like the song of the healthy ego is, I can work on that. I can work on that. Like the song of the healthy ego is, I can work on that, because it's something that feels like it's the energetic uplift. It's being able to take the note in a way that allows for expansion. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the work doing so, like this is a lot of that profound energy that we're recognizing and identifying, because it feels like a lot of this work of this full moon is about integration, right? The integration of the self that allows for the space of being even more expansive. Because as we continue to know about it, like as we continue to grow, we expand our horizons. Now, for energy that is coming into divine union, you'll recall that we were talking about the fact that these were those chariot partnerships. So these were the chariot partnerships that were forming from about the time that Mars woke up, like station direct, up and earlier this year, up until the time that we saw that Mercury and Venus woke up behind Neptune. Center card for today's spreads. We've got here our Six of Swords in its upright. So one of the things that we're identifying that's occurring in these modalities is I keep on hearing there's like a lot of energetic relief. And I want to say the reason I'm seeing like, and I almost feel like it feels like there's an emotional release that's occurring in some of these facets. There's an emotional release that is occurring in some of these modalities. And why are we seeing that emotional release? Because when we find our peace, right? When we find our peace and we recognize like what it takes to be able to maintain that stabilization point, right? A lot of the emotional release that we have is finding peace. I keep on hearing the energy that says finding peace by saying, I didn't deserve that. Right? Like I like that's what I mean. Like this is what's so beautiful for a lot of this energy that is moving deeper into union, because this is the energy that works through, like, and I want to describe this. Like I want you to understand, like the sight, like the ability to see something that gets even more painful the further away you get from it. But then simultaneously, in the space that you should feel like you can harbor resentment, you just learn to let go of it, right? Because it's the understanding, and I keep on saying, like, this is the energy that is like working heavily through Chiron, which says that trauma occurs when we harbor resentment. And so I want to just describe how beautiful this is for the energy coming into divine union, what I'm seeing here. Because this is the energy that heals, moves away from trauma. And the further they move from it, the more there's reason to build resentment. And what is the energy immediately doing as soon as it arrives? Immediately releasing it, right? Because it's the energy that says, like, that's the ability of being able to I keep on hearing transmute, right? To transmute something from a negative into a positive. We're going to be talking about this a lot in our temperance class, because that card is very heavily involved in work of that nature, which again, you still have time to join. If you'd like to join, you can head over to my Substack, and your subscription will be your ticket of entry into our class tonight. Well, for 4 and 5 cards of our 5-card spread for today, we have here our Hangman in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Swords in its upright. So for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, what do we see is occurring right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union? I just keep on seeing there's a lot of this. I keep on hearing the manifestation is adapting. And why do we keep on hearing that the manifestation is adapting? Welcome to Gemini season, because Gemini energy is all about adaptation. Okay, we've been talking heavily about this, right? Because what we often see when we're working through Gemini cycles is that dynamic energy, it's working in the array, which is when you're trying to work towards a manifestation, you don't get, and this is the conversation we often see between like Taurus and Gemini. I always love the transfer point between Taurus and Gemini, because we work with consistency through something, right? We stay energetically driven, and when we stay energetically driven, right, the benefit is the possibilities that expand around us. So a lot of that work that we see, like we talked a lot about the fact that like the Taurus energy teaches us to carve a groove, and then we carve a groove, and then when we hit Gemini, it becomes second nature, right? So it's the conversation of talking about the groove that we carve that becomes second nature, the expansion point. So this is why we see that for a lot of the energy right now, that ability of identifying the manifestation that grows with the relationship, the elasticity point of the manifestation that changes and adapts, because a healthy manifestation is one that we don't try to reach for things, we want to see. So as we move towards it, our sight changes, and as our sight changes, we build into new horizons, right? So this is energy that is not shedding the manifestation goal. The manifestation is expanding. It's becoming kaleidoscopic. It's opening up to the possibilities that they're arriving to, because as we continue on the journey, we allow for that ability of possibility that allows for us to expand upon it even before we reach it. Continuing to get clarification. between our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups in its reversal and our Two of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Death card in its reversal. I like to see the Death card in its reversal here because, I feel like the thing about, and I want to describe what we're seeing here. And this is often a lot of the work that we see that those with Gemini placements come here to work through, right? The conversation that occurs between the difference between fickleness and pragmatism. Now, what is the difference between fickleness and pragmatism? Okay. Pragmatism is being able to see the possibilities around the self and being able to adapt to the environment that you find yourself in, right? It is that energetic expansion point which allows for that, like, and this is the gift, like when we are able to heal our egos, we're able to be pragmatic because we're able to be pragmatic because, right, we're not driven in terms of what we desire, right? The ego wants what the ego wants, but when we heal the ego and the ego is working in benefit to us, right, it allows us the ability to be energetically pragmatic because we're not working from the place of being energetic, like working through the personal, like the issue of the self. We're being empathetic to those around us. So I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, right, that adaptability, it feels like it's profoundly healing. Now, what occurs? This is how we sometimes, and I keep on hearing the difficulty between pragmatism and fickleness is the difference between moving towards a manifestation goal and understanding and being adaptable as it relates to how one gets there, right? This is very necessary on a journey versus when we are too fickle and we articulate that we want to change for change's sake. That's why I've been telling you guys right now, make sure it's not that you can't do something spontaneous right now, but make sure that you're doing something spontaneous towards intention. Because a lot of this energy that we've been feeling, I've been calling it like a pseudo eclipse, if you will, with all of that energy bouncing around in Gemini. Because the difference between, like, I keep on hearing, I don't like it, isn't a manifestation goal. Okay, is not a manifestation goal, right? And often this can be very difficult when we're too energetically fickle, because when we're fickle, what does fickleness typically indicate? Fickleness actually indicates an aversion, an intolerance to discomfort, right? Like that is where we see that the difference between pragmatism and fickleness, right? Pragmatism is changing, is being adaptable. It's adapting to the energy around the self. Fickle is not wanting to change and changing because one can't necessarily navigate the discomfort between what one aspired for versus what it actually takes to get there. So we keep on seeing that a lot of that work right now, there's some massive healing that's occurring there. And I want to say, like, this is why it feels kind of bittersweet for some energy coming into divine union right now. Why? Because what does it feel like when we deal with someone or navigate relationships where someone's being fickle? It often can feel like we are a means to an energetic end, right? It often makes us feel lackluster in that space because I keep on hearing, we should never see each other as portals to manifestation goals. We should work towards it together, right? And that's why even in the space of building dreams together, we do it together or not at all. Because that ability, I keep on hearing, of being able to move into a space in terms of like what it is that we articulate upon, it always feels like an expansion point. And this is why I'm seeing for a lot of the energy right now, this is why that healing feels so frustrating. I would not be surprised right now if there's some energy right now, like working through healing in separation or even coming into union right now, that like it's painful because they're witnessing the difference, right? They're witnessing the difference between a collaborative partnership wherein they may even be going through the same trials and tribulations that they did in past experiences, but they're having the deja vu of seeing what it looks like to be able to enter those moments or those rough spots, but feeling like you're doing something together as opposed to someone trying to do something through you, or someone trying to steamroll you, or someone trying to circumnavigate around you. Because I keep on hearing like the messages coming through as it relates to a lot of the divine union partnerships is together or not at all, right? It's not the space, it's the it's like the word is collaboration. It's like the word is collaboration, because we collaborate, we build together. And that's how we integrate. When we collaborate, we integrate. But when we circumnavigate, we lose sight of things, right? Now, continuing to get, because circumnavigating is the journey of the egoic self, right? And this is often what we see that occurs. Now, continuing to get clarification between our King of Cups in its reversal, our Two of Wands in its reversal, and our Six of Swords in its reversal. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Sun card. So this is to me like this is the Sagittarius energy. This is the Sagittarius full moon. It's a bright energy. It's very unabashed. It's very And I always like to point this out. Like, the funny thing with me is everybody, like, I feel like everybody tries to associate a bull in a china shop with Taurus energy. And I always want to laugh at this because I'm always like, Taurus would never. Taurus would be like, I would never. Like, a Taurus would never be a bull in a china shop. Are you kidding me? A Taurus being a bull in a china shop? Oh my gosh, no. That's a Sag. Okay, that's a Sag in the china shop. Okay, it's the Sag in the china shop because it's that ability. Like that ability of being energetically unabashed, right? It's the ability of being able to do something in a way that feels like that. I keep on seeing that feels expansive, right? And so a lot of that, I keep on hearing, like a lot of the work that we see that may be like coming through today. And I think this is also nice because we do have like that sweet like Venus and Taurus and like Venus and like there's a like I gotta point out this is some nice energy. We got some nice energy. Why is it some nice energy? Okay, I gotta tell you, there's some planets right now that really like where they are. Okay, like, and it's not, and I gotta stress this. It's not that everything's great right now. Okay, far from it. But I have to say, astrologically, this is going to feel like potentially a bit of a relief as it relates to some of the wonkiness that we may have experienced with too many planets in the house of Gemini. Because I got to just walk you through it right now. We've got Jupiter moving into Cancer. All right, that's good. Jupiter in Cancer is good. There's a lot of room there, right? It's a lot of like Jupiter in Cancer is a lot of like, I want to say like dream. It's like big dream energy. Okay. It's like dream bigger. It's a lot of that dream bigger energy, right? Like we have to make the dream bigger. So it's good for Jupiter to be in Cancer. Mercury in Cancer, it's the dream, like, it has a lot together. I got to point this out. Together, the fact that they're entering that together is very good because it's hard to explain, but Jupiter, like coming in with Mercury, it calibrates. Like, it's like the big one and the little one. So it's like, because it's work. And that's what I mean, right? It's the integration of the maturation point of it's like the adult and the inner child that walk in the room together is the best way I can describe it, right? It's like the package deal. It's it's like full package energy. It's the best way I can describe it. Which is, again, and I love it because like Jupiter and Mercury walking into Cancer together, which is like coming into the space of being the person that you want to protect. Like it's the completion, the healthy energetic journey, which says that when we go through trauma, we cannot help the trauma that we experience. But when we truly do the work well, we become the force that never allows it to perpetuate, right? We become the energetic protector of the inner child that needed the defending point. So that's what I keep on, like, this is why I love, like, I absolutely adore Jupiter and Mercury moving into Cancer together, because it's a lot of that energy that says, I'll take care of you and I'll take care of you too, right? It is the expansion point, right? It's extremely protective energy. Now, with Venus in Taurus, we've also Venus in Taurus is, again, that's great. It's great. Like, that's great. Venus is very happy in Taurus. That is like their home. They're like their home. Venus in Taurus is also good because it's being able to talk about, it's being able to move towards and understand what we care about, right? The ability to, again, not be ashamed of how we feel, like being able to have, like I keep on hearing, it's unabashed energy, because I keep on hearing, like, when we come into that space that we protect our inner child, we start to heal from anything that makes us feel like we weren't good enough, right? It's coming into the authenticity of the self that is often articulated by doing that work. So that's why I keep on seeing that, like, a lot of the relationships are doing, like the healthy relationships right now are doing that inner child work, right? And because what is the work or the space of a healthy relationship? It allows the inner child to feel safe to energetically emerge. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, one of the things that we're seeing that is occurring during this time is there's a lot of that work that we're identifying that has to do with the articulation point, or the identification of the ability to feel seen, the ability to feel fully seen in an energetic relationship. And that is why we identify and recognize that for a lot of the energy doing that work, right? This is why the energy is starting to feel the confidence in terms of moving towards one another, because it is the articulation point of not only building into a relationship that feels good, but also is a relationship that is good, because this is the energy that in the midst of coming together, they're already clarifying situations or circumstances where someone is exiting a space carrying misconceptions that do not serve the higher self, right? Like it's like these are the type of relationships where someone's like hearing someone talk about themselves in some negative way, and they're saying, where did you pick that up? Put it down. Don't you dare bring that in here, right? It's like, it's a lot of that clearing up as it relates to being overly, like, I keep on hearing negative self-talk, right? And I keep on hearing, like, this is what happens with those negative thought forms, right? Because when we are often in the relationships that don't serve the self, what is the song you will hear in a relationship that doesn't serve the self? You're not good enough, right? Like, that's the song. It's the song that says, you're never good enough. Nothing you do is ever right? It's the space of feeling like you're constantly having to change, constantly having to calibrate, until the moment that you recognize that if another person can't articulate what they want, you're moving in the space of another person's needs, right? Like, you're being punished for not being able to move in accordance with another person's moods. And this is why, again, we talk about the healthy relationship is we don't deliver our moods to another like a logic problem to be solved. We do the internal work, right? This is what we mean by non-attachment. We diagnose our emotions within. We take the temperature of the self, and we don't give the emotions to counterpart like a problem to be solved. We give our prescriptions with them. We say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I think will help with that feeling. While for masculine and feminine, and this is why these relationships are moving together, and I keep on seeing they were slow to start, and now they're moving towards each other quickly because they've had that moment of assurance, because they feel like another person sees them in a way that no one else has seen them. It's the clarity of the encouragement of moving in accordance to the higher self that is encouraging these relationships to start to move deeper into union. This brings us to the energy right now moving deeper into union, the Six of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Hangman energy. Can I please get one card to clarify? Lover's card in its reversal. Now, if this card looks familiar, and it should, this card has been popping up the last few days. This card has been popping up the last few days in our reads. And not only has it been popping up in our reads over the last few days, but it's also been popping up. It's almost in the same exact position as it was yesterday. Now, I need to articulate this, and we talk a lot about this in my tarot classes. The reversal of a card does not necessarily indicate the opposite of the card. We work through the nuances of what a reversal can mean. And in the context right now, right, of the Sun card and the Lover's card together, this is a conversation about the fact that this is the energy, like there's a lot of energy right now coming into divine union that is identifying the irony of healing, right? Saturn just transited. Hello. It's like Saturn just transited. And here's the irony of healing, right? The irony of healing, and this is the energy that says, this is great. The same thing I needed to learn to be able to come into union is now what I is what I got to learn how to release. Right? The only thing harder than getting strong enough to find union is now recognizing that the work that I have to do is dismantling all of that stuff I did in order to come into union in the first place. Because again, it is the understanding that the lesson is the difference between weakness and vulnerability. There is nothing more strong than being vulnerable. Because we are strong. It's easy to get strong. Just go lift a heavy rock. Okay, it's easy to get strong. It's not easy to get strong. I jest. But it's the journey of becoming strong feels like becoming stronger in the self. It feels fortifying. But it can feel like it's so difficult when we reach healthy relationship, because it is the disassembling of the self, right? It is the ability to move in accordance with that. It's the ability to like bring those same walls down, like the bond. And why is the energy doing this? And then we were talking a little bit about this. The beauty of healthy partnership. Why do the partners become the exclusions to the rules? Because we have, right? We have healthy standards, right? We carry standards within us. And if someone pushes against the standard, it becomes a boundary. Right? When another person does not honor our standards, we have to hold boundaries. So that's when we get hard, when someone's not honoring our standards. But when we identify that another person holds our standards as they would their own, right? They navigate the standards much as we do. Then we build into the relationship wherein we build the trust, right? The trust of judgment in a healthy relationship that allows us to move into a deeper sense of healing. Because it's not that we lose, you understand? It's not that we lose our standards. We can become vulnerable because we know another person is holding them for us. This brings us to the Hanged Man in combination with our Queen of Swords, and it's upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. I'm not surprised to see it, because I was saying yesterday that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, this is energy that is moving into Wheel of Fortune energy. We saw that the relationships right now deep within divine union, they were in, hold on a minute, they were in justice. Okay, they first began in justice, and then they moved from justice into the wheel. They went from temperance over the last few months. The last 3 cycles for the energy deep within divine union, I've seen it move from temperance to justice to Wheel of Fortune. And that is effectively, and as I mentioned, the reason that we see that this Wheel of Fortune energy is here is I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, they're adjusting their manifestations. And why are they adjusting their manifestations? Are they shedding the manifestations entirely? No. Much like we just articulated, right? These are not the energies that are losing their standards in partnership, right? It's not the losing of standards in partnership. It is the ability to be vulnerable in another person holding the standards for the self. Much like we see for the energy deep within divine union, it is the transmutation of the manifestation, wherein the manifestation starts to adjust and adapt, because the healthy manifestation is what we see. And as we move towards it, we open, the possibilities open up. So we arrive to new possibilities. So I keep on hearing that there's like a manifestation expansion point that's occurring right now for energy deep within divine union. And that is beautiful because it's articulating upon the elasticity of a relationship that grows and matures with the same flexibility as the energy within it. Continuing to get clarification between our death card in its reversal in combination with our sun card in its upright. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. I like me a Four of Swords in its reversal because I keep on hearing the key word right now is productive conversations. Productive, 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 productive. Because why are we seeing that there's that space of productive? Because, and woof, okay, that's our center spread. Yep. Okay, thank you. Sorry, another card just came out. It's our center card. When we talk about what's energetically productive, we have to recognize and facilitate upon the fact that, I keep on hearing, being problem driven doesn't fix things. Being problem driven, it feels good, right? No, I know it feels good to gripe, but it doesn't fix anything. Fixing things fixes things. And that's the thing, working towards, and this is sometimes, I keep on hearing, this is sometimes like energetically symbolic and something that doesn't feel like it. And this is why I keep on seeing that there's something that's profound that's happening for a lot of energy that's in healing, which is when another person does not articulate what they want, but rather they're constantly speaking about the fact that they're energetically irritated, right, with another person. It allows for the context of someone getting exactly what they want sometimes, because sometimes it creates that space where like that is another a manifestation goal where another person just basically like scrambles to meet the needs of another. Like I keep on hearing, that's not a healthy relationship. Right? But often we sometimes, again, when we don't have clarity and relationality to where something is going, we can find ourselves in these confusing spaces where, and I keep on hearing, like that's often where confusion occurs, because I keep on hearing meeting needs is something that is energetically constructive, and we do the work within so that way we can create the easement point without. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a point that we articulate our frustrations to counterpart, right? But I keep on hearing the healthy relationship is we do the work internally first, right? We don't, it's not the first thing we do. It's what we do after, because when the key focus point of a healthy spiritual journey, and the reason it shouldn't be indulgent is because we do the work. It's like a healthy spiritual journey is not a place you go to relax. It's not a place you go to like check out. It's where you check in. Okay. It's like, right. You don't go to a relationship to check out. You check in, right? You do that work. You identify what you need to bring to it to flourish. But that's why, again, like working into that space, like it's a lot of like, this is how, and in that space that we constantly check upon each other, we create the space of being each other's safe spaces, right? It is the unification point of the care that we bring to one another that then creates the easement, right? And it's not, and it's the best way to describe it. It's the constant care that becomes the force of love, right? It is the space of being able to put care towards something and being, I keep on hearing, like being precious. Like it's the work of identifying and recognizing how we hold something preciously. And when we hold each other preciously in relationship, then we have the opportunity to become precious within it, right? Because we don't look towards the counterpart as a solution to all of our problems. We look to the counterpart as a precious gift, and we hold them with reverence. So that's why I keep on seeing that there's a profound amount of inner child healing happening right now. And this is happening either both for energy that is in separation, but also for energy that is coming into divine union right now. Because I just keep on seeing that for some of the energy in separation, being able to get away from something is what I keep on seeing. Putting some distance from a situation or circumstance to be able to see something with clarity, right? And this is often what feels like it's painful, because sometimes those unhealthy relationships are such that it's like, and I keep on hearing, it's those moments you're like, I don't know what I was doing wrong. It just feels like I was in a constant state of wrongness, right? Like often those modalities or those moments, like it's in the moment. I keep on hearing like the moment that we have to question the authenticity of the energetic connection is where the confusion comes forth. Because I keep on hearing the healthy relationship does not create confusion. It is the confusion that is met with clarity. And so I keep on seeing that clarification point, right? I can even see this right now. I can see some energy healing from something and being like, yeah, I don't know what was going on there. It didn't make sense, right? Like this is energy going, like this is energy healing from something that doesn't make sense, because we understand that again, and this is a continuation of the messages that were coming through yesterday, confusion is a perfectly good reason to move forward, because if something is confusing and you try to receive clarity on it and all you receive is more confusion, you cannot go into something confusing sometimes and find logic. Sometimes the confusion is like you cannot, like the idea that you can go into confusion to find a logical reason for something confusing in itself is illogical. Right? So like the confusion can be the closure point. And that's what I keep on seeing that's happening, that feels like it's somewhat painful for some energy right now that's in separation, because it's the energy that is trying to heal from something that never made any sense to begin with, right? But that in itself is how trauma is created, right? Because often we don't carry trauma for something that we can understand. We carry trauma on the things that happen to us that are unreasonable, that don't make any sense. It didn't have to be that way. Continuing, and we could get clarification between our Lover's card in its reversal and our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. Can I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Magician in its reversal. So I want to talk about this right now. And I got to point out, so one thing I need to stress here that occurred, I forgot to mention it, is, well, I did mention it. So we've got the Sun card in its upright and the Lover's card in its reversal. And this is basically what we see that occurs, right? Because when we're in the healthy energetic connection, right, the healthy relationship, I keep on hearing, the healthy relationship allows us the opportunity to heal in spaces that we never could before, because it's in the space that when we're able to be vulnerable. And when we're able to be vulnerable doesn't mean that we lower our standards. We're able to be, that's weak, right? We're vulnerable when we're in a relationship where another person holds our standards for us. It allows our inner child to emerge. It allows us to do inner child healing, because it's in the safety of the sanctum of the relationship, wherein we know that we are energetically protective, so that we don't need to have our guard up all the time, right? So that we feel like we can be our inner selves, that we're finally able to kind of do that work in doing our inner child healing. So everything we keep on seeing that's occurring in that modality, it feels like I keep on seeing like that's one thing that's happening across all of the energy right now that's doing this work during the Sagittarius full moon. There's a lot of inner child healing, which is, again, what does the inner child healing say, right? You never should have felt like that to begin with. I'm sorry someone made you feel like that. I'm sorry someone made you feel that being you wasn't good enough. I'm sorry someone made you feel that you were not up to snuff. I'm sorry someone made you feel that you were never going to be able to accomplish something. I'm sorry someone made you feel, because that was the untruth that the trauma brings with it. But when we come into the space of, again, what do we say when we encounter the unhealed inner child? I'm sorry you are not held preciously. And then we do that work to begin to do that. And that's when we start to hold ourselves preciously. So continuing in that space between our Lover's card in its reversal and the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician card, what we're effectively seeing that's occurring right now for a lot of that energy. This is what I meant that's so beautiful for some of this energy that's coming into divine union, because you see the difficulty point that happens. What happens with trauma? When we heal from trauma, resentment builds. Like the minute you finally move away from something and it makes enough sense, where like, surprise, here's a bunch of resentment. Surprise, here's a bunch of resentment for what you experienced. But this is why we release the resentment, because we understand the cycles that perpetuate the resentment, right? Because the trauma is created when there's resentment. And when we hold on to that resentment, we make it everyone else's problem. But when we come into the space that we understand and identify, we do the work to recognize where something springs forth, we immediately begin to heal, because that's the energy that says better, not bitter, right? That when we find peace, the last thing we want to do is walk around in our peace holding on to resentment. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. So we start to do that work of untangling the resentment that we carry around things that we feel we never should have had to experience in the first place. And that's not easy, right? It's complicated. And it doesn't mean that we have to forgive everything, right? But what do? We hold our path work preciously, which is the identification point of saying there's something very complicated, right? And navigating our own complications, right? In the way that feels like it is best. Welcome, and this is why I told you how this is impacting you is going to be a little bit of a grab bag right now, because we've got Chiron on top of Eris. And that could talk a lot about the fact that healing is a complicated mess. Okay, it's complicated. It's complicated because there's a lot of energetic factors that often occur to articulate why trauma happened in the first place, right? Sometimes it's hard. You can't be like, well, it's one thing. It's like how much time you got, right? Like it's a lot of different factors that often result in that kind of energy or energy injury or energetic injury is what I keep on getting. Now for masculine, and this is why I keep on seeing this is the energy that's working through that, right? It's like it's having to work through it, and it's not easy. But even so, I keep on hearing the present, right? Like the present helps in that space because it allows oneself to be grounded in the moment, right? It's like it's remembering, it's like working in the space of understanding that is energetically behind us. Now, continuing to get clarification for the energy deep within divine union right now, this is why I see that there's a lot of the energy doing that work right now, specifically and particularly in relationality to being the adaptability of the manifestation goal. And is this the energy that is changing their manifestation? They're not scrapping. You have to understand, they're not scrapping the manifestation. They're expanding upon it, right? It's the energy. It's the energy, right? And this is often what happens when we're in a healthy manifestation point. What is the song you hear when you're moving towards a healthy manifestation? I was looking at it all wrong. It's often characteristic that you hear I was looking at it all wrong as you're moving towards a healthy manifestation, because the goal of a healthy manifestation is what? You see more, right? You're able to expand upon it in a bigger way. So I keep on seeing that there's a lot of the energy working through that right now, but in a way that feels like an energetic celebration point. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Page of Wands in its transverse. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess. This High Priestess card, I'm not surprised to see it too, because one thing again, this is often a card that is characteristic of the work we do through Cancerian lessons, right? Cancerian lessons, and we were going to talk about this a lot, okay? And I love Cancerian lessons because you have to understand the beauty of the journey of Cancer energy is coming into and this is why we see it's from Gemini into Cancer, because it talks about the process of molting, right? And this is why it talks about the shedding the layers of the self, because often, right, when we start to feel energetically uncomfortable, right? When we start to feel uncomfortable, we understand that we're expanding, right? And what do we see? Like what? And we're going to talk a lot about this as we move into Cancer season. What do we see that a crab does, right? What do we see that a crab does when it needs to expand? It finds a place that feels safe, right? A crab finds like they find a shell around the shell that they have, so that they can move the shell aside to be able to create a new shell of the self, right? And it's a beautiful analogy about how we find ourselves, because when we feel energetically safe, right? When we feel energetically safe, we have the ability to be vulnerable. And then when we have the ability to be vulnerable, what occurs? Expansion, right? We're able to become our full embodiment of self. So that's why it's important, because a lot of the work that we see, and I like to point this out, like Cancerians are sometimes like, they're like little like metal detectors as it relates to how they feel safe. This is often why Cancers have to go through that process of being like, I don't, like they close up. Like when they're feeling emotional, they close up, because sometimes there's a little bit of hypersensitivity in those with Cancerian placements, because that's why we talk about hermit energy, because like, I got to get out of here, right? It's like, and again, and this is the difficulty point, and I was stressing this, the difficulty point that we're experiencing right now. And that's what I meant about making sure that you're communicating in positive ways. Because the thing with Cancer energy and Sag energy, and this is how they're alike, is when Cancerian energy feels vulnerable, what do cancers do? They close up, right? They close up their little shells. They shutter their windows, right? And what do Sagittarians do? Sagittarians are like, when Sagittarians feel vulnerable, they're like, you want to see how fast I can run? Like the Sagittarians bolt. So, Cancers close up and Sagittarians bolt. So a lot of the work that we're seeing, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the class tonight on the Temperance card, like a lot of the work that we see right now, and that's why I was telling you over the last few days, like it's not that you can't move like in reactivity to how you're feeling, but think about it for a minute, okay? Move with intention, being spontaneous in one's intentionality, which says you can't, it's not that you can't be spontaneous in this energy, but take your own temperature, right? Sometimes that first blush of feeling we feel, and this is the thing we keep on hearing, the message that was coming through yesterday, and this is the problem for those, not a problem, but a difficulty that is often learned for those with Cancer lessons and Sag lessons, right? The gift that we have in allowing ourselves to feel vulnerable in uncomfortable spaces. What is the gift that we sometimes receive? A clarifying change of perspective, right? Not allowing the anxiety to override the experience we're having, but being able to articulate upon it, right? That's why for those with Sagittarius placements, like the ability to learn how to remain is a lot of the work that Sages do. Sages, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that next month when we get into the Devil card. But the ability to find that ability to stay within something, right? Versus, again, the Cancerian lesson of doing that work and understanding of no earmuff energy. None of this like, no, 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 no. I don't want to hear it. Because the gift that we have, right, is like that gift that we have when we're able to remain through an uncomfortable space, right? It allows for us to be able to have a different perspective. That is the gift that is received in those spaces. So I feel like there's a lot of that work that we're seeing that's occurring right now across all of the frequencies, because it's the ability of navigating one's own discomfort and finding sacredness even in that space, right? It's like it's working through, the thing about it is you have to work through something to a certain extent that allows you to be able to expand upon it, right? And so I feel like there's a lot of that energy here that feels like it is like I keep on hearing the reward for some patience right now that I'm seeing in some of these relationships is that clarity of perspective, right? And that's why, again, what's beautiful, the thing I love about the Cancerian lesson is it's a journey of understanding that the ego The journey of becoming the self is not the ability of departing from the ego entirely, right? And we see that almost with the journey of a cancer that changes their shell. Because when we're in a healthy space, like a cancer, like the crab's shell is the same stuff that the crab is made of. It's just the exoskeleton. It's something that protects them, right? There's no differentiation point between the inside and the outside. The shell grows to fit the individual within. And we can take this lesson for our own egoic journeys, which says we're allowed to change. We're allowed to discover the self. And when we're in a healthy space, right, we feel like we're constantly expanding. We're constantly becoming more of ourselves, right? But when we're in unhealthy spaces, we start to feel that uncomfortable point, right? We start feeling like we don't fit in. We start feeling like the sore thumb. We start feeling like we're trying to jam ourselves into an ego that doesn't fit us, and there's not enough to contain us, right? And that's often why we have those moments that feel like we start to come into collapse spaces, right? Because it's the energy that feels like the inside doesn't match the outside. So this is a lot of the work that we're seeing that says like how healthy it is to be able to amplify and articulate upon the internal aspect of the self, because in the moment that we find the ability to communicate our inside outside, we integrate the whole self, right? It's like the ego and the inner, it's not the journey of getting rid of the ego. It's integrating the ego with the internal self. It's allowing for the self to say it's all one, right? There's no differentiation point. But this is some of the hardest work to do, because it also, in order to do that, what do you have to experience? You have to suffer the awful journey of being known, right? It's like it's going through the difficulty of allowing oneself to be known, and that's very hard. Continuing to get clarification between the page, and this is why I keep on seeing with the Page of Wands and its transverse versus the Magician. Can I have one card to clarify? I already know where this is going. Yeah. But this is the thing. We don't owe our internal selves to everybody. Our internal precious self is a gift. And when we hold ourselves preciously, right, that is something that is energetically conditional. Because again, often in the space of understanding and recognizing, right, when we are appreciated, when we are seen, when we are held in the embrace, this is the difference between being weak and vulnerable. Because sometimes we have to look and understand. We have to take the temperature of where we are to determine whether we're in a space that we're being energetically held preciously. And often when we're not being held preciously, this is the thing. You shouldn't have to feel like you have to fight to feel energetically precious, right? Sometimes that's just moving away. It's just moving away. Just like going somewhere else. It's the ability to understand that ability of doing so is one that is not it's not, I keep on hearing, it's not up for debate. It shouldn't be the articulation point of the preciousness of the self is not one that should feel like it is debated upon. It should be something that is integral, like the vitality of ourselves, the vitality of who we are. And this is why, right, when we hold ourselves sacredly, we often have a tendency of treating those around us with that same level of sacredness, because we understand that experience of the presence of the self is an energetic gift that we bestow on each other, right? It is the ability to be seen. It is the ability to hold each other with a level or degree of sacredness that allows for the ability of moving through something. But this is why when we're too much in our egos, and this is what we have to be wary of with those who are on egoic journeys, where they feel like they're the only person on this earth, right? Because the ego wants to say, me, 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 me. The ego wants to say, me, 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 right? And that's the thing about it. When we're in a space of me, then we start treating those, when we treat others around us not like we would treat ourselves, then we're not moving in a way that is energetically sustainable. We're expecting the world to energetically deliver to us instead of collaborating with it. So we see even now that there's something very beautiful that's occurring right now across the frequencies in relationality to being able to articulate that a healthy manifestation is not exceptional. It should be one that is energetically shared by those around the self. And I keep on hearing, it's not selfish to hold oneself preciously. It's not selfish to hold oneself preciously if the level and degree of preciousness that you are articulating for the self is something that you would easily give to those around the self. That is not selfish. That is equal. That is energetically generous, right? But you often, it's like that ability of doing so. This is what we mean by mindfulness, right? It is the identification point of recognizing and understanding, right? The boundary that we hold when someone sees us in that way and says, you're being really full of yourself. You're being really selfish. Like often someone that wants you to experience less will say in the moment that you're trying to be sustainable, you're asking for too much, right? And that's why we have to be protective. That's why we need our boundaries. We recognize how another person receives our standards, right? And that's why we don't articulate, we don't demand. If someone sees us holding our energetic standards and says, wow, you must really think you're something if you expect that. Well, that's immediately someone that says, I don't have the same standards as you, or I require you to lower your standards in order to be in accordance with me. So that's why we say, like, again, healthy energy does not kind of work into the space of doing so. You observe it and you continue forward, right? You allow the observation to dictate where it is that you energetically move. While we see even now that for a lot of the energy, that clarity, this is what is inspiring a lot of this energy right now to move deeper into energetic connection. Because you'll remember that a lot of these new relationships that are forming right now, they were taking time because they've been wounded by situations of someone that said that they wanted the same manifestation, but did not express the determination, the sacredness of self, the sacredness of another that allows one to be able to reach that point. And that ability, that's why we see that this is the energy that's finally building into the space of trust. Because this is the energy that as they're moving towards each other, they're getting clarity. They're feeling the appreciation point. They're holding each other sacredly. And it's that sacredness, even to the space of helping them clarify something that was a misconception of the self, and seeing another that can receive it in the same vibration, the thank you, the appreciation that occurs in being able to receive something that feels like it helps the self. This allows for that point of expansion because they're understanding and they're finding someone that feels like they're energetically unified as it relates to their aspirations and goals and partnership. This brings us to a lot of the energy right now that is coming into divine union. This is the ability, this is the energy that's saying to themselves, I'm proud of me. Why are they saying I'm proud of me? Because are they saying right now, it's great, I found the perfect person, they're fixing me? No, we don't get fixed by our person. This is the energy that says I work on myself because I hold my energetic person preciously. And the more that I'm able to work on myself, the more I'm able to protect them. It's the journey. It's the journey of, again, the hardest thing to do was become strong. The second hardest is to become vulnerable. And this is why often those that we're in counterpart connection with become our exception to the rule. Because that ability of being able to feel the safety and security of someone who not only sees you, but someone who you know holds your standards as well as you would your own, allows you to flourish, allows you to energetically grow. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to, what we effectively see that's occurring right now is a lot of that energy that is, this is what I keep on seeing, the expansion of the manifestation goal. It's, I keep on hearing, the most delightful change in plans, because when we're in a healthy manifestation, it's not about the things that you reach for, but often in the reaching for something, you move. And when you move towards it, you see something that you couldn't see before. So it's that ever-reaching journey where, and again, it always feels like it's before you, but the parade of moving towards it is one that feels like an energetic celebration point, because it is the arrival to new possibilities that articulates upon the success point of the manifestation, because it is I keep on hearing like the kaleidoscopic space of being able to see even more as you continue forward, right? Like that is what that's what you have in the condition of a good journey. You see more. Final card for today's spread between our High Priestess in its upright and our Eight of Wands. King of Pentacles in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about this energy that we're seeing right now. So for masculine and feminine energy, that is, one of the things I keep on seeing that is really important. And I like the fact that we're seeing that the King of Pentacles is in its reversal right now, because I keep on hearing there's a lot of conversations that are occurring right now as it relates to the bigger picture, right? There's a lot of this work that we're seeing. And, and I keep on seeing there's a lot of protectiveness that's also coming through right now. Now, for energy that's in separation, this is why the King of Pentacles, this is what it feels like for these energies right now that are moving into energetic union, right? Because you'll remember, as we described, these were the Magician partnerships. So these are the energies that are coming towards each other in authenticity, right? This is feminine that is feeling the affirmation of being held preciously in that connection. And how is the feminine being held precious in the connection, right? Masculine's clarifying their view of things, right? If there's some kind of negative thought form that the feminine picked up about themselves in an unhealthy space, masculine's helping to dispel it. So there you go, right? Already in that space, this is the energy that's feeling the stabilization point, because this is the energy that is not, I keep on hearing, like not patting the ego, as it were, but it is the heavy critique energy by which another person is helping another person get a better view on something. So if these are the energies that were, if this is the feminine that was identifying and desiring authenticity above all, this is the celebration point of a masculine that feels like they're collaborative because they don't see the feminine as an object. They don't see the feminine as something that exists to appeal to the masculine. They see the feminine in the space of being an energetically sacred person. While for masculine energy, we just keep on seeing that for the masculine energy, that same ability of doing so, right? If this is a masculine that felt like they had to walk on eggshells, or feeling like they never knew, feeling like they had to move too much in terms of like working through the feelings of the feminine, this is the masculine that's finding the feminine energy that is able to, again, articulate upon their needs, not just feeling the emotions, but being able to tell the masculine what the emotions are asking for. And when the masculine feels the feminine does the internal work, doesn't look to the masculine as someone to make them feel better all the time. This is the masculine that feels the energetic safety of moving into their inner child, because that's a masculine that feels like they're in the presence of a mature feminine energy that is able to energetically take care of themselves. But when we say take care of themselves, you understand that the care is one that they understand the ability to feel the things they feel, but also not just to articulate upon the feelings, but to articulate upon how the emotions should be met in terms of action. So it takes the guesswork out of the space of the masculine in relationship, which feels like it allows the masculine to feel energetically safe around the feminine. So these are the energies of the supportive partnerships, and that's happening across all of the frequencies. Inner child healing, right? Because in these spaces, this is what that inner child healing feels, right? Masculine that doesn't feel like they have to guess all the time. Feminine who doesn't feel like they constantly have to have their guard up to feel like they're going to be safe, seen, and supported. Final card for today's spread. Bottom of the deck. Boom! 10 of Swords in its upright. Circumstances are not ideal right now. Right? There's a lot, I keep on saying, there's a lot of energetic frustration right now. There's a lot of that, like I keep on hearing, like the fact that we're going through a lot of the stuff that we're experiencing, there's a lot of energetic devastation that's happening, right? And I keep on seeing that one of the things that is important about that is, and we keep on, like the one thing we identify is it's very easy to get focused on what's not working. Right? It's very easy to want to feel energetically resigned. But the spirit of love is one that we don't resign to anything. Right? The spirit, and I want you to think about that right now. If you're feeling like that, I want you to embody the spirit of love. And what does the spirit of love say? We don't give up on things. We never give up on things. Because it's not the fact when we focus heavily on what isn't working, we move out of the frequency of love. And that's not, I keep on hearing, it's not delusional, right? It's not delusional to do that. But the important thing to do is to navigate is to navigate devastation in productive ways. Because to perseverate over devastation does not fix the fact that there is devastation, right? Being upset about devastation does not fix devastation. Being angry about devastation does not fix devastation. Bemoaning might sound nice, but it doesn't do anything. Doing things does things. And that's why I keep on seeing that ability of being, again, I want you, if you're working through that devastation, I want you to be pragmatic with what you do with that energetic feeling, right? Which is not the space that it's not, again, we do not build our love upon the conditions of what we arrive to. We arrive to situations and we let love be the energetic prescription. So if you're feeling like that today, I want you to kind of let that help you calibrate, right? How can love be the prescription? What can you do that can move something in accordance to it? And if you're not seeing it around you, maybe that means that you're more called to do that than anyone else, right? If it feels like it's dark around you right now, I want you to focus on being that energetic flashlight. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class is tonight. You still got time to join if you want to join us. We're going to be studying the temperance card. It is a very cool card. We're going to study the history of the card, the symbology of the card. I'm going to work you through spread applications, so how you can read that card in any direction it may appear in your own readings. I'll also be giving you a unique spread to take with you out of that class to help you integrate the messages of the temperance into your own readings as well. And all you need to do, if you'd like to become a part of that tarot class program, is mosey on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You'll also have a paid subscriber have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive as a monthly subscriber. Now, you don't have to catch up. I'm going to do my best tonight to give you a recap on everything we've studied thus far, but the material's there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we're learning or have learned thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive, then that is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You will also have access to, you'll also have a discounted rate on the full year's worth of readings. You will also have access to, if you choose to receive it, a one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage towards your personal tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to any new offerings I may be having. I also post my mystic meditation articles there, which will let you know about what we've been seeing energetically in the cards. I just posted one recently talking about this Sagittarius full moon and how to utilize it to reach your manifestation goals. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of clients for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these per dream or as a series. I would encourage, if you purchase the dream interpretation reading series package, that you start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.